Hello, folks. This is Mark Smith from the studios of Mark Smith Family Tree Life Coaching. I'm here with my fake jellyfish, which I like looking at, so I'm assuming that you like looking at them too. If you don't, I'm sorry. If it's a distraction from me, that's probably a good thing. Just kidding. Hey, I did a video yesterday that a lot of you responded very positively to. And one person asked me, several of you asked me to make more ACOA videos. But one person says, hey, how about you make a video about ways to heal if you are an adult child of an alcoholic? So that's what I'm going to do. The title of my video this evening, actually, 25 Awesome Ways to Heal the Wounds of Being an Adult Child of an Alcoholic. 25 awesome ways to heal the wounds of being an adult child of an alcoholic. So, all these are really awesome, I'm telling you. So hang in. Number one, this might be self-serving, but I'm going to say go to therapy. I made a recent video that was really good that nobody watched. It's called When Magic Happens in Therapy. Go back and look at that. It's about 5 or 6 videos ago. If you can find a good therapist who is able to put their finger on things that are true about you, who have a lot of knowledge about family systems, who is an adult child of a dysfunctional family themselves, who has done their own work, who has cried their own tears, who has gone through their own dark night of the soul, then that's magic, man. That's priceless. I'm doing some work with some people now that if you find the right therapist at the right time and that fits you and they're talented, miracles can happen, man. I'm telling you. I'm working with people right now where there are miracles happen. And that would be most of my caseload. So I'm giving a shameless plug for therapy with me. There's a problem with therapy with me. It's really expensive. So it's not for most of you probably. But if you can afford it, I'm telling you, this is a really good time to catch me. I am sort of in a magical place doing incredible work, and I can help you. My fee is $200 an hour, and I do it that way just because I have very limited time and I have huge overhead, and it is what it is. But man, I can't put into words how somebody like me. I'm not saying me, but there's other people out there like me. There's not very many of them, to be honest with you. It's not like you can go to any insurance panel therapist and get what you'll get from me or from some of the skilled therapists at Family Tree Counseling Associates. Number one, go to therapy. Go to a damn good one. Number two, of course, 12-step work. Most of you are already doing 12-step work. But if you aren't, it'll help you. Number three, I read a book called A Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss. where he goes through and he interviews 140 famous people, 140 not so famous people, but accomplished people. Some of them were famous, but not a lot of them were. Paulie, you're going to have to chill, bud. Paulie wants a walk. Let me finish this video and I'll come. Chill. I probably should have walked him before I started. He's getting fussy. So, of these 140 accomplished people, I heard about 70 of them say when they get stuck and they get in a funk, they take a walk. And it clears their head. I myself don't take walks. Mr. Paulie's older than I am, and sometimes we just crawl down the stairs. He pees, he looks around, and he turns around, and we just go back up to where, we started. Paulie, shush! Sorry. He waits until I start the video. But something is simple. There's a famous poem that David White quotes. It's not his poem, but the poem says, "Sometimes the truth is changed by a walk around the lake," or something to that effect. A walk around the lake. So take a walk, clear your head. The fourth thing, the other thing that almost every one of these 140 highly famous people, you're going to have to listen to him bark through the whole thing. I'm sorry. It's shush. Is they exercise. Some of them really, 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 really exercise. But I guess what I want to tell you folks out there in ACOA land is you don't have to exercise a ton to get help. Saturday, I was in a funk. My brain was fuzzy. I didn't feel good, and I decided to just go to the gym, get on the rowing machine, sit in the sauna. One guy is a big sauna fan, and he says he loves to sweat. I wish I could remember who that was. He was really famous. He just loved being in saunas and sweating, and he gets in a sauna every day. But I got in the sauna, got in the hot tub, I did the rowing machine. I went and I shot baskets. I pretend I'm on a cruise ship. Whenever I'm on a cruise ship, there's a 3-point contest, and I almost always win it against a bunch of young fellas. And there was a bunch of young guys there playing, and they didn't want to play with an old guy. They wouldn't play with the old guy. And I told them, I said, fellas, I've been watching y'all. Y'all can play defense and you can jump high and you're athletic, but none of you can shoot worth a damn. Y'all are shooting 10%. If you would let me play, I would shoot between 40 and 50% from the 3-point line. But they didn't want any part of it. I was talking smack to them to try to provoke them so that they'd let me play, but didn't work. On Sunday, I did play today. I'm going to tell you about that in a little bit. EMDR. I don't know what that stands for. Something about rapid eye movement, desensitization. Just EMDR. I'm sorry. I didn't look up what it stands for, but everybody knows what EMDR is. If you don't know what EMDR is, what it is a lady named Francine Shapiro years ago discovered that when she was sort of moving her eyes back and forth, her emotional processing was enhanced. So now when you're doing therapy, some of them have a light that your eyes follow. Polly, shut up! It's like a dysfunctional family. I used to go to a therapist years ago, back in 2015, and she had an iPad with a big ball would roll back and forth. And she was going through a divorce, and it was hard to keep her focused on my issues sometimes, but probably 2 of the top 5 therapy sessions I've ever had were with her because she was doing EMDR. So if you haven't done EMDR and you have trauma, it's worth an investment of 5 to 10 sessions, maybe 20 sessions. Don't overdo EMDR, you'll be traumatized. It is an easy button. There's not many easy buttons in life, but it's not gonna be a cure-all for everybody just like this. But for some people, it'll help you a lot in 15 to 20 sessions. So check out EMDR. Sorry, I don't know the fancy initials. Watch videos like this one, because this video will help you. If you'll do what I tell you to do, you'll get significantly better, trust me. Another thing that almost all of the tribe of 140 impressively successful people did is they all read. And I don't read books, I listen to books, but I probably listen to about 12 a month. Novels, a lot of them are obviously self-help books, therapy books, but I'm always listening to a book or 2 or 3, and it'll enrich your life. If you want to grow as a person, if you want to heal as a person, read a lot. Number 9 is what I call deep processing. Deep processing is crying. For most people, it's weeping, and then for other people, sometimes it's expressing anger in a way like taking a tennis racket and hitting a couch, or screaming while you're in your car, so a primal scream kind of thing will release some anger energy. But most deep processing is your wounded little child weeping. I can't tell you how much your inner child weeping will do for you. If you don't cry and have tremendous relief after you cry, even for 10 minutes, man, are you missing out on one of the best things known to mankind. That's just the way God made people. God made people to heal by crying. And a lot of times when people come to therapy, that's my whole goal is to get them out of their head into their heart, and they start crying. I'm just like, stop talking and just keep crying. Let it come up. It's wanting to come up some more, and it comes in waves. Some of you are depressed and you're in a dark place, and it's because you don't have enough relief from weeping. You need to learn how to cry. You need to learn how to deep process and get that poison out your system. Number 9, here's one of the best ones that I'll give you. Grow up your inner child. For many years, I would say for 60 years, except for the last 6 months, this is how I thought. I thought, you pick somebody who's like your mom or dad, whoever hurt you the most, and they're going to eat your lunch, you're going to be wounded, your inner child's going to come up, and if you cry enough and talk about it enough and read enough books and do enough yoga and do enough meditation, you'll get better. Guess what? All that's true, but on some levels, you have to grow the fuck up. You have to have that inner child of yours. Polly, shush! I'm having fun with this. I don't know about if you guys are irritated by it. I'm going to suggest a book to you, How to Be an Adult in Relationships by David Rico. And it's all about how most of us are reactive little children in relationships. Almost everybody is a reactive little child in relationships, and they don't know how to be an adult in a relationship. So in the past 6 months, my pain level's down 90% following this process of growing my inner child up. A big chunk of it is direction from my therapist, Steve Cooper, who actually works at Family Tree. And if you want to see a therapist more brilliant than I, then see him, Steve Cooper, Family Tree Counseling. If you're wanting to work on growing up your inner child and knowing how to have an empathetic conversation instead of being fussy britches with your spouse all the time. Number 10, build community. Loneliness is painful, folks. You know that. And some of us are so afraid of narcissists that we were in COVID-19 isolation before there was COVID-19 isolation. Build a safe community. So here's one, number 11. I wish my dog would shut up so I can say this. This is one of the fun ones. You got to develop a passion. You got to have some joy. Where do you get joy? You get joy by doing the things you love. So let me give you a little example of that. With joy and passion comes getting your swagger back. In the past 6 months, I've was in some debt. I'm like 75, 80% out of that debt. My practice is off the charts, skyrocketing. It's because I'm doing better work. I'm bringing more energy to the table. People are telling their friends. People are telling their family. I don't know where to put people because I got my swagger back. But anyway, so today my daughter wanted to go to LA Fitness, and she likes going to the pool and to the hot tub. So we had just actually done a float. We go to a float tank and float in salt water. It's like a meditative thing. It's very cool. Energizes you, builds up your magnesium. That's another thing you can try. Go to a float tank. It's very cool. But I was at LA Fitness, and I walk in, and there's 12 guys in the basketball gym. And they're starting to gathering to be a crowd. There was actually 15 guys in the gym. And I hadn't seen more than 3 guys in the gym. Now I know about wearing a mask and not interacting with people and COVID-19, and I followed very strictly isolation and wearing a mask, but I couldn't wear a mask while I was playing ball. I didn't have the right pair of shoes. I actually had a pair of sort of rubber sandals, but I decided I was going to play. My opponents were a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old. 90% of them were extremely athletic, extremely athletically talented young black men. And the other 10% were really good players who happened to be white guys. And I was 61. Everybody was under 25 except one guy. And he actually was probably the best player. But I got in the game, and I guarded that guy. He was about 40. And I had a good time messing with him and playing with him and trash talking with him. He's a nice fellow. He's a cop. But here's the joy part. The first time he got off a shot, I fouled him 30 feet from the basket, and the damn ball went in. I couldn't believe it. I fouled him. Then the first time I had an open look, I hadn't played basketball in 2 months. And I got so excited, I threw it over the other side and threw an air ball. I just overshot it because I was overly excited. Then I had another open look, and I barely missed it. And then I had a look, and I made a 3-pointer. And so there's 35 guys in the gym. All of them are 25 and under, except for the one guy who was kicking my ass. And I made a 3. And you remember Michael Jordan? when he won his last championship, he followed through like such. I can't really do it on this. He just followed through and he held it. Because he knew he just won himself his 6th NBA championship, and it might have been his last shot. It was his last shot with the Bulls. But I shot it like that, and I ran down the court like I had just, won the NBA championship. Because I was an old guy who knocked down a three with all these young punks. It gave me joy. Well, as it turned out, this guy who was 40, and he was sort of a fat guy, but he's the quickest fat guy I ever saw. He had a step back move, and he set me up. I didn't know it was game shot, and he moved forward, and then he jumped backwards like 8 feet and shot it from 30 feet and hit it and won the game. Couldn't believe it. So I got my ass kicked, but I made a shot. And it's the first time I've been able to play basketball in 5 months. And it made me so damn happy I can't stand myself. It was fun. Now, don't send me messages about putting myself at risk for COVID. I get it. I shouldn't have done it. It wasn't smart. I don't think I got anything. If you found out I died in about 3 weeks, you'll know that playing ball, but I tell you what, I couldn't help it. It gave me joy. I'll be living off that joy for a month. Polly, shush. Okay, get your swagger back. Get off of carbohydrates. Get off of carbohydrates. I was in my inner child a couple months ago, from about the second month of COVID till about a month or half ago, I got into a little funk, and I thought, things aren't going well with my relationship, and I'm lonely, and I ain't got nothing to do, and I can't play basketball, so I'm gonna eat Cheetos and Fritos and ice cream and shit like that. And I got fat. I got really fat. And so I've got my game back. Would you shut up? Here he comes. And I'm off carbs now. I eat fish. I eat vegetables. I eat sugar-free ice cream every now and again. But I've lost about 15 pounds since I've been on it, and I feel fantastic. Get off carbs. Get off sugar. Sugar is the devil. Get enough sleep. Quit doing your addictions. Here's one. Quit doing your addiction. You're saying, well, I'm an adult child of an alcoholic. I grew up with somebody with addiction, but I haven't got no addictions of my own. How about food? How about binging on Netflix? How about video games? How about games on your phone? How about Facebook? How about other shit on your phone? How about being a workaholic? How about being a relationship addict? I got a gal I'm working with, and she was a relationship addict, and she was on dating sites. In midlife, if you get on a dating site, you're going to get destroyed by narcissists. Enjoy and fall. I told her, I said, I'm happier than I've ever been because I've fallen in love. And she looked at me funny. I said, I've fallen in love with myself. And I'm very happy with the solitude and the spirituality and all these 25 things that I'm doing that heal me. You might have a sexual addiction you need to deal with. You might have a spending addiction. If you'll quit doing your addictions, your life will get better. I think he's going to quit barking. I think he realizes that we're not going out quite yet. We can only hope. You need to read a book called Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix. Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix. This is number 16. It's the best book, in my opinion, ever written about relationships. It'll tell you why you keep marrying alcoholics or drug addicts or other addicts. You know, because you're wired to pick addicts because you grew up with an addict. You already knew that, didn't you? By experience. This book will explain why. All of us who grow up as adult children of dysfunctional families have a ton of shame. So everybody should read Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw. Everybody talks about Brene Brown like she came up with the topic of shame and wrote about it initially. No. There was a guy named John Bradshaw who wrote a 10 times better book about shame than Brene Brown ever has thought about writing. And he's from, I believe he was from Houston as well. I know he's from Texas. But the book you want to read about shame is Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw. You got to read it. It will change your life. Number 18, get out of victim mentality. Victim mentality is the devil. Sugar is the devil, but victim mentality is the devil. There is a playlist on Family Tree's YouTube channel, Family Tree Life Coach's YouTube channel. The playlist is called Getting Out of Victim Mentality or some such thing. There's like 400 videos. Watch them until your eyes bleed. Victim mentality will keep you depressed. It'll make you powerless. It'll make you a whiny ass. Stop it. Where are we at here? Take some medication. Dude, if you're depressed and you're sad, there are things called antidepressants. I take them. I took them before I was shattered, and then I've been taking more since I was shattered, and I don't want to fool with a good thing. I've been feeling good, but there are medications out there that can help you. Meditation. I was sharing a meditation with a client the other day, one that's based on a book called Love Yourself as If Your Life Depended on It. If you guys haven't heard of that book or checked that book out, it's by a guy named Kamel Ravikant. He's a tech guy from San Francisco, but he wrote a beautiful book on meditation. Love yourself as if your life depends on it. Lose some weight. I've lost 15 pounds and I feel fantastic because my clothes fit. I was getting a shirt to wear to do this video, and I've been wearing my fat guy shirts, and I still got a fat guy shirt on, but I was wearing my really fat guy shirts. And this is my favorite shirt, and I couldn't wear it because my belly would stick out toward the bottom there, which my wife told me isn't very sexy. In fact, it's the antithesis of sexy. Lose some weight. Stop venting to third parties. We call it triangulation. There's a playlist on our YouTube channel about triangulating, venting, bitching to third parties. Nobody wants to hear it. Stop venting. Number 23, take good care of yourself, man. I grew up poor and the second oldest of 7 children, and I remember I went to get a pair of glasses, and I wanted to pick the cheapest glasses that they had because I was worried about my younger siblings, if my parents would have enough money to take care of them. I've always had a little streak of not being able to take care of myself in some areas. And one of them is in buying a car. Don't get me wrong, I do have a Thunderbird convertible from 2005. That's badass and a lot of fun. But my regular car, I'd been driving since 2001. I bought it new in October 2001. Honda Santa Fe Gold. All my kids drove it. All my kids wrecked it. My assistant wrecked it. Everybody wrecked it but me. I didn't wreck it. And I've poured so much money into it. And the engine light came on about 3 weeks ago. And I drove it down to the dealer that I bought it. And I sat there and I looked at, I wanted another Hyundai Santa Fe. I'm a creature of habit. And they had this thing called a Tucson, which is the same thing as a Santa Fe, but 20% smaller. And it wasn't gold, but it was sort of sparkly brown. It caught my eye. And I got a good deal on it, and I got a good interest rate. And I tell you what, it brings me joy to drive around in my new car. It's the difference between, I tell people, like a horse-drawn carriage and a spaceship. One I was driving, and now the one I am driving. But I couldn't do that for myself. I could afford it, but I just couldn't do it for myself because in my heart, I was the poor guy who didn't want to look showy and didn't want to look, didn't want to spend money on a car, thought it would be an extravagance. And I could afford it, so I did, and it makes me happy. So stuff like that. Number 24, tell your stories to others so that you can help them. One of the biggest things that helped me when I was going through a shattering from April 26 of 2015 for about 5 years is getting on YouTube and telling my story. And a lot of times I would cry. Almost cried a little bit today. But boy, that was therapy for me to be able to tell my story. And it will be, I'm not saying get on YouTube, but talk at a meeting, share with your friends, share with your family, share on Facebook, those little memes. Number 25, there's a process that I tell people. I should have brought my whiteboard. It has, there's 4 arrows on it and a line. And for each one of the arrows, there's a concept. The first concept is realization. So the first concept is realizing who your parents were and how the alcoholism or the drug addiction or the rageaholism or whatever happened in your family, who they were and how they damaged you. The second thing is to feel. It's one thing to know, it's a second thing to feel the implications of all the bad shit that happened to you. I tell people your heart is sort of like a freezer, and in recovery we unplug the freezer and leave the door open, and it's filled with frozen feelings, and we unthaw all those feelings. The third thing in this process you're not going to like, it's called expression. It's setting up a meeting with your mother and your father, or your mother or your father. Tell them you had some things to talk to them about. Having your adult self hold your wounded little kid's hand and hold their asses accountable and tell them, hey, Dad, your drinking hurt me. Now, if they're a narcissist and they're going to rage, you wouldn't do that. Send them an email, send them a letter. But don't be afraid of anybody. Don't be afraid of anybody. When you get to your adult self, you won't be afraid of anything or anybody. Not foolishly. I'm not saying walk down the dark alley where, everybody gets mugged. Don't do that. You'll get mugged. I'm saying most of our fears are unrealistic. And up until 6 months ago, every morning I woke up with fear. Now I wake up and jump out of bed and ready to kick some ass. I'm not unlogically afraid of the booger man anymore. So have a dialogue with your parent. Be loving. I was mad at my parents, of course, but my mother spent the first 3 years of her life in an orphanage, And my dad was 12. My dad's mother was 12 when he was born, and my dad's father was 38. Italian guy named Sam who was molesting children. And then he had a stepdad who beat him. And then his mom was a skinniver. So God bless them. They wounded the shit out of me. My mother especially, by not bonding with me. And it's caused me so much torture and pain. But I did have a chance to dialogue with my mother some before she passed in 97. And I did have a chance to dialogue with my dad before he passed in 2003. And with my mom, I got her to quit triangulating with me. She'd call me on the phone and start bitching about stuff. And I'm like, Mom, I don't care. Shut up. I'm not your friggin' therapist. Quit talking to me. I'm not a hostage to your bullshit. She quit doing it. She goes, oh, I'm not supposed to ventilate and triangle to you. It's like throwing up. And then she'd call one of my siblings, and she'd vent and triangle to them probably, but not to me. And then my dad wasn't able to hear me because when he was one-on-one, he was codependent, and he'd say, oh, I'm sorry. But then he went back to being his old self of being oblivious and self-absorbed. And if you'd confront him in a group, he would rage. He would feel shame and he would rage. But the good news is the fourth step is there's resolution. And you can have good resolution or great resolution. Those are your choices. Good resolution is if you process it. It took me 4 years for each parent of dialoguing, not being afraid, calling a spade, having courage, trying to be as kind as I could in the process, dealing with the resistance from my siblings. My siblings still think that I overestimate the amount of dysfunction in our childhood. I underestimate the crazy shit that went on in my childhood. Trust me. I bet I know a fraction of the stuff that went on. And the stuff that went on that I know about is pretty massive. But so with my dad, I got good resolution because I took a trip to Pittsburgh and I met his siblings and I found out about his getting beat by his stepdad and I just worked it through, and then I could be around my dad and have him not drive me nuts, and I could forgive him. And my mother was able to apologize for being a triangulator, and she quit triangulating. There were a whole lot more issues I needed to talk with my mom about, but she upped and died in September of August 6th of 1997. So, 25 awesome ways you can heal. You can go through a process of dialoguing with your parents. You can tell your own story to help people. You can take very good care of yourself. You can stop triangulating, lose weight, practice meditation, take medication, get out of victim mentality. Read the book, Healing the Shames That Bind You. Read the book, Getting the Love You Want. Quit your addictions. Get enough sleep, get off carbohydrates, get your swagger back. Do something that gives you joy. Do something that you have passion about. Build a community. Grow the fuck up your inner child. Read the book, How to Be an Adult in Relationships by David Rico. Learn how to cry. You need to have enough crying until you're snotty nose boogery crying, for like hours. It'll cleanse your soul, people. It's magic. Read a lot of books, watch a lot of videos. Hey, watch some family tree videos. Some of you might want to take some EMDR. Take a walk when you're confused. Exercise 4 times a week. Do 12-step work and see a great therapist. Don't see a crappy therapist. See somebody that really knows what they're talking about. I've had a lot of people that they tell me, I'm not making this up, they tell me they learn more in one session with me than they've learned sometimes in years with other therapists. Why? Because I dig into their family tree and I tell them why they married who they married. And I connect it to the alcoholic or the addict or the person who had rage or was a sexual abuser, whatever. And I'm able to sometimes capture the theme in the generations and communicate it in one session. Blow your mind. Hey, the next 2 live streams, I'm going to interview people on Google Plus and do their genograms, volunteers. It's not therapy. It's not therapy. It's not therapy. It's a simulation. It's a demo of therapy. I'm going to do a family tree and give them feedback in a half an hour. And you'll see what I'm talking about. It will blow your mind. We tried it this past week, and we had technical issues where my browser was freezing up, and 2 people had to type in the answers, and it took forever. And people still said it was one of the best shows we ever had. You can heal from the wounds of growing up with an alcoholic, with an addict, with a narcissist, with a rager. You can. There's a lot of people that are living proof of that. You're not going to be the happiest, most carefree person going. You're going to still be on the struggle bus, but there are ways to heal, and I just went over 25. If you'll do these 25, I promise you that you'll be significantly better in 6 months. Significantly. Like, walk around in a funk, translate that to walking around with swagger. Get off the sugar, get off the carbs, get off the victim mentality. Read these books that I talked about, and find something to make you happy. Hit a 3-pointer in front of 35 youngsters and walk off going like this, like you're Michael Jordan. It'll make you so much happier than you were when you started. God bless you, folks, and thank you for watching.